so far.
Wow. Okay.
All right,
Interesting.
we are live. We are live, and look at the smile on my face. Maurizio doesn't know this yet, but I'm gonna start with a Bitcoin chat.
Because you should, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Let's see who we got in the
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
here we got in the house. Okay. Morning, Graham. Morning, Kent. There's no holidays or anything today, is there?
No, it's
Just
not. It's
normal.
not.
Hello, Charles. Hello, Craig. Okay. Thank you, Todd. We are off. Right then, Todd, I'm going to bring up lots of wiggly lines and let me just do the usual Pornhub check that we're okay. Okay. Right. Let's share screen then.
I think you're having a lot of fun. I've been watching the market every I call morning, and now it's interesting.
Yeah,
Right now, it's actually dumping, so it's interesting right now, right?
it
I was
is.
going to short it like right before the end of the day. It's Monday. We're getting close to end of month. But yeah, go through it and what you see, what you see, what you see.
Okay then. Let's start with this green range here, okay?
Yeah.
So we we slinked out of that range, okay, on this 3 weeks consecutive downtrend. And we carried on going until we found liquidity, right? So that was a liquidity stoppage. That wasn't really, buyers stepping in and saying, I'm up for it. Okay. And then this range is still in play, right? Because we haven't lost this range yet. Like we slinked out of it, we came down to the lows. Then here, this is the retest to try and get back into this range. Didn't happen. We were absolutely nowhere near it. Then the week after, that confirmed just the almost confirmed, I think, the total loss of this range, where we kind of closed, we closed below the 200-week EMA. And that is significant. That's a structural thing. However, if people start taking trades now, I think they're a little bit too early because I think that for this to be one direction that the market could travel is continued bearish acceleration into this nice big range here. And for that to happen, we want a failed retest on the weekly. So we're going to come back up. We're going to try and test this 200-week EMA. If we close above it, okay, we could start building a case for bullish, but I think that's anyway. If we close below it, well, then that will be the retest. That will be the second week in a row. And textbook says that should lead to further continuation, but that's only a hypothesis, not a it will do this. So for me, if we get a successful retest, meaning I'm bearish and looking forward to the breakdown, right? So if we close below that 200-week EMA, then I would say load your fucking short shotguns. We have got evidence. Fucking start firing, right?
Really? Okay.
And then the things that you want to start firing on, right? It's like if we look at what Bitcoin is doing now, well, we should be able to open an ETH chart and we should be able to see ETH decisively below this 200-week EMA. So if we get this kind of, I'm swapping language here. I'll call it a failed retest. I think that's better this week of the 200-week EMA. Then I'm expecting similar to happen with ETH. That's quite dramatic.
Hmm.
And then that means that, well, which coins are best to short? Well, if you were to go through like every single altcoin, if you know what I mean, then you could say, well, let's say look at Sol because it's already advanced in its breakdown. It's already broken structure. So those would be the type of coins that I would look for shorts, things that have already broken their structure and are on the way down and don't have any kind of salvation to bring it back.
Uh,
Um, Yeah, so there we go, man. There we go.
Okay,
Fucking, it's
interesting,
going to be a
interesting.
short-a-thon.
Interesting. How do you guys feel about everything about crypto right now? I'm just wondering before I start mumbling around what I'm seeing.
Well, anybody that's got a FinRev Degen account is feeling great about crypto.
Of course, man. Of course, of
You
course.
know? This has been probably the steadiest pullback I've ever had in that FinRev Degen account.
Yeah, it hasn't, because obviously, the downsides right now of FinRep is the sharp pullbacks to either direction, right? If we
Hmm.
go huge to the upside and bang, we have a drop, or vice
Hmm.
versa, right? It's
Hmm.
low to the downside and then bang. But it's
Hmm.
low, it's slow and steady with in whatever direction. It's fucking great. FinRep, man, fucking great.
It
Yeah.
really is. Because there's a third option as well that I didn't discuss, and that's that we don't
Yep.
retest. We just go down.
Yep.
So close below, close above, or we just go down. And I'd probability them of retest as what I see as the biggest, most likely thing to happen.
Yep.
And close above the smallest, just go down, not so.
Yeah. And that's what I've been, I'm kind of in the same boat with you, right? Obviously, I have different levels. Now I'm gonna go through it, but overall is about weakness. Like everything is weak. You know what I mean? Like I was very tempted to actually go into some trades last week on AI, on all the stuff that we talk about AI. I'm still watching those, but just
Mhm.
the fact that the whole market is so weak, you know what I mean? Like you could see those bounds, and you
Mhm.
could see those ones trying to break out. So I'm still so I'm still thinking, if we keep those on the top line, when market recovers, those ones will be really like fucking slingshots to the upside.
Mhm.
That's you know what I mean? Like that's because you could definitely see. Let's go with the charts and let me show you what I'm seeing at the moment. So all right, let's you guys see my screen?
We can.
Let's start with Bitcoin first, right? Like we have the weekly ranges closing. So we just closed the week, and then just now, this is the new candle, right? This candle here is just starting to develop towards the downside. Now we have this level here, from the daily perspective, right here, this range. Is that going to stop there, or is that going to have continuation finally towards the 60K range, which is the level that I'm watching very, very closely, right? So we're in the middle of nowhere. But if you look at the trend on a daily, you could clearly see a fucking daily trend developing towards the downside. You know what I mean? Lower lows, like structurally speaking, on the daily.
Oh, we're going to invert in a minute, aren't we, Mav?
But yeah, but so this is lower lows, right?
Hmm.
Lower, sorry, lower highs, lower high, lower high, lower low. So we should expect a lower low if we do have that continuation, right?
Hmm.
If we don't, you're gonna get something like the triangle sort of shape. I think Todd was talking about it a little bit, and that will be a compression to, if we get that, then is a compression of whatever direction the market will take the next level out. And what that means is if we don't get the lower trend, which is looking like we are at the moment, but obviously we have this little uh support right here, then we're gonna get the triangle thing, and then it could break to either direction. That doesn't mean we're gonna recover. That doesn't mean we need to just be vigilant on which way. Now, I'm still thinking shorts, but just the fact that we are in this low liquidity thing right now. Okay, so anything can happen to it direction. So that's kind of, I always want to keep myself not biased. I always do my best to don't be biased. Just react to what you see on the market, right? Because if you think we're going lower, if you're right, you're right. But if you're wrong, then anything that you see in the market to go short, you're going to apply that bias. So my mindset is always okay. always try to look try to read what you see and don't fucking think about what do you think is going to happen. That's my mindset. You know what I mean?
The
And
edge is in the boredom.
so with that being said, what I am seeing right now, right? What I am seeing, and this is questions that I ask myself every fucking day, man. And I do have cards here, right, to remind me of those questions because it's very simple to say this is going to zero, this is going to the moon. That okay, what do I see? What do I see that takes me to take a trade to either direction, right? So um at the moment, obviously, this just developed. You know what I mean? Like a half an hour ago, this candle did not exist like this. Okay, so obviously, if you watch the daily, we need to wait to see what the daily is going to end up, right? But if we start dropping the time frames, let's drop it to 4 hours, for instance, right, or 1 hour. This candle just close here, and this candle just open up, and we are just 10 minutes into this candle. You know what I mean? So this is a heavy sellout this morning, right? Obviously, why? It's been weak. Market is being weak, man. Totally. So what are the stuff that I should be looking for if I want to take longs? So first of all, I'll be looking for important levels, you know, that at the levels you can draw whatever level here, but you need to think about at those levels match with a lot of big buyers. You know what I mean? So I do not see any big buyers stepping in at fucking 65, man. There's no history for the last couple of days telling me that buyers are waiting for these levels here. Would you agree?
I think that
So
that is a massive, massive thing, Maurizio,
yeah,
because look at that where we had to hunt for that liquidity before.
correct,
Like, I don't
correct.
want to be biased, like you said, let's keep it professional now,
Yep.
but that's a target, that's a known place of liquidity now.
Correct. Unless, a big whale comes in right now and start buying, then that will create that demand at this level. Until
Mm.
then, my demand is either here at 60 or either at
Mhm.
50,
But
52.
but for me, the 200 week has got such significance because I believe it's like a narrative type thing, you know? The best
Mm-hmm.
place to buy is below the 200 week EMA. You buy below the 200 week EMA and you're rich, you know? But that
Yep.
wasn't defended. The 200 week wasn't defended.
Let me add it here. I don't use that one. I use the 200 day.
Ah,
Uh,
okay.
you know what I mean? So I don't use that. I don't know the significance of that one. I haven't done any sort of work on the 200 week EMA. So yeah, that perhaps. But the one that I use is 200 day,
Hmm.
and there is a significance on the 200 day. Not, I'm not saying that the 200 weekly will not have a significance, right? But I don't know what the narrative behind that one look like. What's the 200? Let me just plot it here and
So
email.
that 200 one was the one that I'd say we closed below this week that we're looking to retest.
Let me add it there. Okay, that's that one there. Let
Yeah.
me just change
And,
the color just
and this
for
wasn't defended. So where you said about
okay.
like you've already said it. You said
Yep,
looking at this, there weren't
yep,
any balls to step in.
yep, yep. Correct. So that 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 is significant, yes, from that perspective, because this like there could be a deviation looking like if you have those two EMAs there, you can actually see that last time that we had that. Let's have a look. So the way I look for edges or indicators that actually validates my idea is okay, when was the last what happened the last time that this happened? this is the only history that we have at the moment. That doesn't mean that it will happen the same way, but it gives you an idea, right? That when was the last time that this happened? So if we go back, when was the last time that we actually broke that 200 EMA weekly? And it was on June 2022. Do you agree?
I
So
agree.
in order to come to find out my thesis in terms of I need to go and see the past history of that behavior. So last time was here, right? And
Hmm.
it broke down completely, and then it took a while to recover, but it didn't crash, right? So
Mm.
it did crash. Yeah, well, what's the definition of a crash, right? So it took 30 bars. It took 30 weeks, roughly 210 days, roughly a year,
Mm.
to go back to an upside directionality. Ooh. So that could be an interesting thing, right? So it could take a year of fucking around before we start seeing an uptrend. That could
Mm.
be a
Mm.
thesis that we can play out, right? Like
Q4
time,
this year.
right? If we start getting that pullback up. So the interesting thing is, from the 200 EMA perspective, is that still a bullish trend? We lost the dailies, right? So if that doesn't hold, then it could turn really ugly. You know what I mean? But
Mm.
then that I do agree. I do agree from that perspective. So what's the definition of holding? So let's go back to that. So obviously we're looking at the market from the weekly perspective. So we need to wait for weekly by weekly by weekly by weekly on to actually take those trades from this perspective, right?
Hmm.
So um, that's kind of how I'm just giving you like the way that I will be thinking if I'm start using that 200 EMA as a reference. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
that's kind of what I'll be looking for. Okay, what historical data do I have? Then because 200 week EMA is 200 weeks average,
Mm.
and 200 weeks, how many days is that?
Christ, it's 4 years, isn't it? So
Correct.
yeah.
Correct. So this is a really interesting one to keep an eye on, because obviously this is the first time that it has happened since 2022. Very interesting, right? Very
Mm.
interesting. But take it with a grain of take it with the long perspective, because this is a really long developing EMA, really long, right?
Mm.
So
Mm.
obviously, if we want to take trade based on this, you need to make sure that you either take that into consideration, that it's going to take a long time to develop whatever thesis you have based on that. It's not going to be like right on the spot. You know what I mean? You can actually see, it takes a while, right? Before,
Mm. Mm.
but the fact that we are here, it could generate a lot of volatility either direction on small time frames. So
Mm.
any high time frame support resistance levels, EMA, does provide really good volatility. And what I mean volatility on the small time frames, that people go long, short, it creates volume, it creates stuff, it creates markets. That's where the markets are created. Who is going to win here? The bulls or the bears? That's why it's going to get interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, good. I'll keep an eye on this one. I'll put it in my charts, and then I'll start. So the interesting thing is, if you bring it down to daily, okay,
Hmm.
where do you go? Hold on, let me just visibility, and I just wanna show it. Yeah, time frames. So why if I bring it here? It's right there. Okay. All right. So this is when it gets quite interesting. Let me just change this to time frame weekly. All right. So same chart, different time frame, same indicators. All right. So now we know my yellow line is 200 daily, but then the white line is 200 weekly. Okay, so you can see on the daily perspective if that's going to start holding or that's going to start breaking down. If you ask me now, it's going to start fucking breaking down. It looks horrible, man. Like it looks
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
horrible, right? So the next obvious range to hunt will be the 60K, right? So obviously with shorts, you have to be mindful that there's a lot of buyers waiting for to buy. Okay.
Mhm.
So the psychology of shorts is different to the psychology of buys. The problem is this level going to hold? Are people piling up here? You don't know until we hit that level. Let's see what happens there. But if you short it, then take some profits here, move the stop loss, and if this fucking thing goes down, so next take another. You could actually take another position. So this is, let me talk about this because this is a really active trading ideas, right? So let's say that you wanna, we say that we're gonna short the market and we're gonna short it here, right? So
Mhm.
interesting level to place a stop loss probably will be above that, right? And then if the market starts sort of dumping, then I'll take some profits here and start
Mhm.
bringing the stop loss down, right? Because in
Mhm.
here, you could bounce or it could actually bounce and keep moving down, right?
Mhm.
So two options here. You could move the stop loss down. If it keeps moving down, you can add into your position and bring your stop loss down. And then if it comes back, you only lose. You don't lose anything. You don't win anything. You don't lose anything. But when you add and it has continuation, then you're gonna make a lot of money, take more profit here, and you keep the same directionality, right? But this is very active. You need to watch the markets like probably every 4 hours, I will say, and then you make decisions accordingly. But this is really active opportunity to actually load trades and playing that thesis. So
Interesting.
so so this is an interesting playbook in a way, right? But I really like the shorting aspect. I will be if I short or if you're short, I think there's not a bad idea to take some profits at these levels here because you don't know what's happened, or just wait, which is basically what I'm doing at the moment to see what happens at this level here, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's kind of what my bias is at the moment. I want to see if this holds and I want to take longs here. So I don't want to fuck my bias by taking shorts. You know what I mean? Like you have to pick my battles and
Mhm.
and 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 from the long, like I say, medium long term perspective, this is what I'm waiting. Can I be wrong? And if this doesn't hold, then can we move down and I miss the fucking short opportunity? Yes. But I
Mhm.
know myself, and if I take a short here, I'm going to be blinded, and it will be very hard for me to see the reaction of these levels here because I'll be waiting for. It's tough to play the short and long game at the same time. Very tough. I don't know if anyone has experience to do that. So in medium, long term. So this is kind of the waiting area that I'm waiting, and especially for the medium, long term stuff, right? So this is where I'm at the moment. But I can definitely see that this is playing out, man. Definitely, definitely. So let's talk about holy fuck, this is interesting. Okay, let's talk about why it's happening and what I can see in terms of who's driving this price action right now. And this is just happening right now. This is just in the last half an hour, right? Okay, let's have a look. So this is the CVD. So CVD is pretty weak, right? So there's no buying whatsoever. No one is interested in buying at that level, right? And a lot of liquidations happening towards the long side. So you can actually see the liquidations here, and you can see, oh fuck, this is the same setup that I was telling you about last time with Todd. Do you see
Yeah,
it
let's go
now?
through it.
Do you see it now? All right. Weakness on CVD, and this is a small time frame type of scalping thing, right?
Hmm.
CVD going red, like let's define that because this is kind of like CVD going red, so that means weakness. Then you have an increase in open interest while the market is going down. What that means shorts are being opened. So there is a high likelihood that in the short term, things are going to dump. For how long? I have no fucking clue, but they will. So if you take, a risk management perspective and you say, you take a short here, I'm going to put a stop loss there. You have 1-to-1 risk reward ratio, 1-to-2, probably you can get out of this trade, So Todd, we did talk about it last time, and this is very profitable, guys. The problem is you have to be here to watch it, and we missed it. We missed it in 30 minutes, and because I'm biased long term, so changing that bias is hard. You know what I mean? But if you focus only on scalps and do this type of setups, I think it's going to be more profitable than anything that you do. You know what I mean? Like so. Here we go again. Same fucking setup, same bloody thing, and I missed it. Anyway, I'm gonna program a bot to alert me on this shit, man. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. So I already missed the short from that perspective, but I'm just waiting to see what happened at this level here. So, and this is now putting my bias here, my what do I think is going to happen, and probably by looking at this weakness on CVD, we'll see a little bounce, right? We'll see a little bounce, and then we'll finally go through that direction towards 60K, and that could be an interesting show right there, right? But yeah, it could happen very quick, man. It could happen on a candle. It could happen on two. That's the type of directionality that we are at the moment. Also, we have to think what's going on around the world, right? So we have tariffs, tariffs news as well happening, in terms of things of Trump limiting things at 10%, things like that. I need to go on to that. We have the Iran and US stuff happening as well. So there's a lot of geopolitical factors that may push the price a little bit lower. That's why I did not go into any trades last week, right? Even though I know Kite and BBB, they did kind of well, but this could be an interesting short that we can play out right now, man. Yeah, that could be an interesting one. Obviously, I don't see any buyers on this level. So the next significant level is going to be 60K, man. Is that going to hold? That's I don't know. Unless we see a shift in the markets. And why do I see I don't think it's gonna hold? Like let's take for instance IBIT. So IBIT as a gauge, I think is a really good indication where ETFs could be at. So there's no strength whatsoever. Now if I look at the S&P 500 as a whole, we're still ranging towards like this is not looking healthy. You get the US 100 still dropping, and US 100 obviously US 100 and the Russell, it gives you sort of like risk. Where's the risk? It's people willing to take risks at the moment. There's more risky assets. So even though it's not going anywhere yet, right? So until I see a little bit more strength in the markets, I don't think Bitcoin, Ethereum is going to get hurt, man. If we break this low here, the 1600, I'm watching Ethereum closely. So if you do want to short something, I think Ethereum could be an interesting short, because if we start getting weakness and we break the 1600, there is a lot of liquidations piling out there. People that are, they took loans on Aave, or they took loans on Ethereum. There is that level there still on 1600 level that they're going to get liquidated on their position. and that's not healthy. If that happens, I think it's gonna put a lot of pressure on Bitcoin or on the crypto market to recover. Uh, or maybe just bigger whales are just, pushing the market towards this, forcing the liquidations. Because what happens with liquidations, you have to take into account is if you are forced to liquidate your position, right? Then you have no ammo, you have no cash, you have nothing. Your position is gone. So there will be no more sellers there. So those areas right there, they're very interesting for whales or the same drivers of this dump to rebuy and then fucking go into the rebound, right? So market is tricky, man. Market is very tricky. So big whales may be forcing this dump, and maybe that's what I've been waiting for. That's the same thing. So I'll be watching very closely what happened. If we hit the 1600, I will not go on short blindly. I'll see what the reaction of that. So you do have the two reactions there. So just have that in mind. Same thing with Bitcoin. That's why I'm just waiting to see what happens there. Yeah, but that doesn't stop you to actually get a small short right there. Besides that, that's kind of what I'm seeing at the moment. Let's go through. Yeah, I thought that could be interesting. Yeah, that may be an interesting thesis. And I'm inclined to think that they forcing the market towards the 1600 liquidation level of Ethereum, so they can start buying heavily on that one. You know what I mean? So that could be a thesis, and that's a thesis. I don't have significant data to support it until we see what happened on that 1600. You know what I mean? So have that in mind. Okay, so it's very important for you to think about, okay, this could happen, but then where is an indication that this could happen? You know what I mean? Another thing that I'm watching closely that I haven't, it is the altcoins aggregated open interest chart. So, and why this is important. So this is Bitcoin, and a while back I gave you how you can actually read this chart, and you have Bitcoin here. Like, this is in Coinalyze, by the way. And the way that, let me just go for people, maybe they're new. Let me just delete this. You go to Coinalyze, right? Let's see if I remember. I just had it saved. So you go Coinalyze, right? And Coinalyze is just an aggregator of different data. Coinalyze has a really good chart that is called, so you load Bitcoin, right? And then you say aggregate, usually comes up with this one by default, aggregated open interest, right? So what that aggregated means is bring all the open interest from all the exchanges, right? But what you want to see is the aggregated open interest of all the coins excluded Bitcoin. Okay, so you add the indicator and say aggregate. This one, open interest market cap ratio global. Takes a little bit of this one. No, it's not this one. See? Oh, yeah, it's that one. Okay. Oh, no, sorry. My bad. It was this one. Yeah, the top. No, it is one. It is that one. Okay. My bad. Okay. So you take the coins category and you can actually exclude Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? So it gives you basically the reading or the alts, how alts are performing. So what's the open interest on that one? So if the open interest increases and market's going down, that means there's no one buying the fucking thing. any of the coins. There's no risk assets being involved. So no, this is not the one. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Let me just, because I had it saved and open interest. Open interest market, right? No. Oh, there you go. This aggregated open interest coin marginated contracts is this one. Okay. And let me just delete this one. Okay. And let me just click here on settings. Oh yeah, they changed it. Okay. That one. All right. So this is what I mean. Check this out. Okay. So, and this is the hourly. So this is the aggregate open interest on all contracts, right? On all contracts. And you can actually see that across the market, you have an open interest that increasing. But you know that the open interest is actually, like, the open interest is just telling you how many contracts are being open. You don't know the directionality, right? So you can see that this dump, it could be driven by open interest going long, right? Going short, right? People are going short at the moment. So what are the next levels that people that are going short going to take profit at? Or is this going to be an interesting level for liquidity grabbers to actually start getting short squeezes? Those are always kind of the way that you should see the market, in a way. Like, who is actually driving this thing, and what are the interests for driving this market lower, or what is the interest driving this market higher, right? So what I'm seeing here, a lot of shorts being open. So we could probably see a retest of those lows, and that could be an interesting trade. You know what I mean? And I just keep track of the open interest to see what happens here at these levels once we get to these levels here. I think that's the only thing that we can actually play out the moment. And the interesting thing is all the AI stuff. I added a few coins here. I'm gonna give you my thoughts of new stuff that I added here. So let's go through AI stuff, because AI, I think, will be my first, once the market sort of bottoms on the 60K, if it bottoms there, right? So I have a plan on which coins I'm going to be buying at those levels. So I'm thinking of Tau, Render, right? Pump, Virtual, VVV. So you guys know about VVV. I talked about it yesterday. I want to buy it probably around here, around 3.2 if we get that, right? Kite, funny enough, it hasn't pulled back whatsoever. Weekend was actually pretty good on this one. So Kite is doing really, really good. This is an interesting project. Have H. H is like H is a humanity tracking thing. It's gaining a lot of attention, but then the problem of H is actually very volatile. It's very scammy, but I can see a lot of interesting things. Like, if the AI narrative picks up, right, then this could one at least give us this all-time highs right here. So I'm looking at that 147%. So this one could be an interesting one. ATH, I'm still tracking this one. It looks fucking horrible, but on a recovery, is going to get a lot of shorts squeezes coming back up. And if it catches the narrative, more than likely, this is my last. I'm just keeping an eye on this one. But I added this morning WorldCoin. So the reason why I added it here is I don't know if you guys. Oh yeah, Darren, Hyperliquid is still on the cards, right? Hyperliquid is kind of but I'm just talking about new narratives, what's coming up. So the WorldCoin, I can probably see this one coming back up. There is the new, I don't know, you guys been following the AI stuff like that, but now the founder of OpenClaw is joining OpenAI. And WorldCoin being created by Sam Altman and all that crap, more than likely, probably it could have a recovery, right? Towards all-time highs, not sure, but I'm tracking this one at least to get a really interesting play. Okay, so that's the thesis behind this one. So I like to, look at all these coins that are being really crappy, but when the market comes back up, if we pick the correct narrative, we can actually track, we can actually get those pumps. So that's narrative. Naoris, right? Horrible coin to trade on leverage, but I think this could be an interesting hold long term. This is a security company. It's an interesting approach in terms of the markets, in terms of security. So the interesting thing is I see a lot of market makers piling up at these levels here. They haven't been able to let this market drop. And that's what I want to see in terms of backers, in terms of things. So this one could be an interesting project. And the project is not bad. It's actually fundamentally strong in terms of technology. So that's kind of the stuff that I'm looking long term. I'm actually looking at Jupe as well. So Jupe has been fucking horrible, right? But they came out with a new let me just this I'm gonna paste this in the chat. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so essentially they're voting at the moment to change the way that they're going to rebuy Jupe. There has been a lot of unlocks, and a lot of the big investors are willing and are actually very worried that the unlocks that are going to happen is going to keep driving this market down, but they're changing the whole sort of strategy around rebuying the token and rebuying the emissions of the fees and things like that. If that proposition goes live, we could start seeing this one catching attention again, and perhaps we can actually start seeing this one coming back up. How high? I don't know, man. Because a lot of competitions right now. Jupe is not the only one that's doing the same thing, but just the fact that it's releasing new stuff is changing the voting, and it's still, the protocol is quite a lot of people use it, so I see those recoveries coming back up on those ones. That's it then. I'm just taking the time right now to focus on those type of stuff that when the market recovers, maybe we're going to see a massive influx of capital going through. That's kind of what I'm waiting for. Okay, so and CC is still holding, so it's pretty good from that perspective. Even market looks like shit, and it's still holding above the 16, give or take the 13. So we're still good on this one. I'm still good on this project, but obviously, we have a low risk position this year. Still good on Hype, so Hype is being very, very strong. So if you have a look at the spaghetti charts, right, from January, let me just bring this from January 2026, right? So we have Hype, CC. So those are the stuff that I'm tracking. Obviously, Kite, VVV, ARC, but ARC is being very scammy. I don't really like it, but you're gonna start seeing Render, Virtual, Tau coming back up. You know what I mean? While that's why they're on the list. You know what I mean? So obviously, this is the first indication that you can start seeing a strength. So when the market comes back up, if ever comes back up, then I'll be, willing to start buying these ones. Can these ones go off, right, without the market being up? Yes, that's a risk that I'm willing to take. But then you can actually start seeing here the DeFi, in the DeFi world. You got SNX, you got Aave, Jupe, GRT, that has kind of starts coming back up. So this is the stuff that I want to focus on and doing a little bit more if there are buyers in there. You know what I mean? So that's it, man. So besides that, Marlon, is the white line BTC? Yes, correct, Marlon. The white line is BTC across pretty much all the spaghetti charts. So it's your reference point. You know what I mean? So you can actually see when everything overperforms Bitcoin is when the market goes nuts. That's when leverage, we should go a little bit high, a little bit riskier in terms of leverage. But until then, very risky. Very few fucking coins just going above the above the performance, right? Not even like all the majors here. And by the way, this one here, the first one, the white line here, this is the S&P 500. So once all the majors, let me just bring this back. So this is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is in orange on this chart, on this particular chart. BNB, Ethereum, Solana. Once we start all crypto going, like has better performance on the S&P 500, I think that's where a lot of liquidity comes in. That's when a lot of risk assets, because people feel, okay, let's go risky right now, and that's when. Until then, right? And chop towards both scenarios, shorts and longs. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of where I'm at the moment. So I'm rather, start researching good stuff and be prepared to pull the trigger on those ones when the market starts recovering. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at the moment today. Can those views change tomorrow? Yes, you know how crypto it is, man. So this is one of the things about crypto. So freaking volatile, man. So yeah, besides that, I have nothing else for you guys, unfortunately. Unless you have any questions.
Well, I think the market hasn't got anything else for us, Maurizio. Not that you
I
have.
know, man.
You've got an infinite amount of fucking interesting things to. Well, we got about 10 minutes left. We don't need to squeeze every drop out of it. So for a bit of fun, we had Todd on the microphone the other week. Is there anybody
Yep.
that would like to come on the microphone and ask Maurizio a question? If nobody else puts their hand up, then we'll volunteer Todd. So
Volunteer talk.
come on. Anybody that wants to come on and ask any discretionary trading question or anything like that, we can just have a bit of fun for the last 5 minutes. If we do get Todd on, right, we'll get him on, then we'll end the call early.
No, all good, all good. Todd,
This
don't
is
don't
no,
don't
you
don't,
should
don't be
see him in the
forced, man.
group. He picking on me all the time. All right, okay. Well, I guess Todd's on the. Here we go. Well, all right, okay. It looks like it's going to be. Let's uh, let's get the permission to. All right, your microphone should be there. There he is. There he is.
Hola, amigos.
What have you been up
Hey,
to this
Todd,
week?
what's up, man?
All good, all good. Losing my ass, actually. But
How come? Take me through it. Why?
Hmm.
I made some bad plays with Fartcoin.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
yeah.
Okay,
So everything that I made over the last couple of weeks, I pretty much just gave it back, and
Wow.
it was theirs anyways. I'd made it all, so I think I lost
yep,
like 10 grand over the last 5 days. But
yep.
yeah, it is what it is. I think Ian, right on,
Hello.
man. You shorted BTC, right?
No, I haven't shorted it yet because I
Oh
actually want to
shit, I thought
wait
I
for
heard you
this.
say at the beginning that you shorted it.
No, because I'm long in FinRev with it, right? And what I really like to do is wait for regime change. So what I'm prepared to do is I'm prepared to sacrifice, say, 10% of profit to know that regime has changed. So I'm going to
Mm,
wait this week. I'm not going to short this week. And then if we get that failed retest, then I will be on a fucking shortathon.
copy that. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw or not my little thing, Mauricio. This dump is most likely the continuation of correction, right? And
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Define the correction. What do you mean by that?
liquidity mechanics.
Okay.
The market going towards where the liquidity pools are. And
Correct.
you said at the
Exactly.
beginning of the
Yep.
call that 60 is a monster.
Exactly. It is because that's when the main reactions happen on the last dump, right? And you could see the trend developing towards that range, that area. So that's a high, yeah, I will say 70, 30 probability that we're gonna hit there. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
then,
So,
yeah,
so with that said, that's not yet a full regime change, right, Ian? It would be it's still structurally vulnerable though. But
Yeah.
unless we break through 60, maybe retest and keep going to the downside, then I'd say it's a regime change.
But we could still see, like, we could retest that 200 this week, right? Close
Yep.
below it, and then we could plummet on down to that 60. But then, crypto being crypto, we can have that violent bounce straight back up. And that will be another opportunity because I won't play that bounce up because I think that's just reactive. That's just liquidity. So
Yeah.
I'll let that fizzle out and then I'll take another short after that's happened. If that happens, it might not happen, you know. We might go
Oof.
down to, we might fail the retest and then we might see some initial explosion down to the downside, which is like that FinRev is in position for it. Human traders would have to get themselves, you'd have to be like, right, okay, I know that everybody's making money. I know it's going down. I just got to chill and then get yourself positioned for it.
Yeah.
But that bounce back is what bites people, because like they
Yeah.
can
mm,
hold it for too long or they don't have the correct kind of like risk to reward, and then it bounces back and then they start panicking. But sorry, what I was saying was we could have a big exponential move, and then normally what happens after a big move is we have to pay for that big move with time
Hmm.
and boring. So
Hmm.
if I could have any Christmas present I wanted, it would be a violent move to the downside that doesn't rebound too much and then just moves along like that for a little bit.
Wow. That's
if
evil.
that well,
I love it. I love it.
if that happens, Ian, I think that could be the capitulation thing that we're waiting for. You know,
Yeah.
that massive fucking wick to the downside that everybody say, "Fuck, I'm
Mhm.
out, I'm out." That's when we should get in.
Yeah,
You know
tag
what I
the
mean?
40s region. Everybody's ah.
So that's
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
that's why I try to keep myself outside of the market. So I keep my head cool when that happens.
Smart.
Yeah.
Because if
Would
I know myself and because I'm trading so many systems and things like that, especially with 100x club, I need to keep my cool and that's what I'm waiting for. You know what I mean? Like if
Mm.
I'm taking too many short, too many small time frame positions, my brain gets blocked and say fuck. So if I'm like with this, we want to get position on the best possible prices, and if we do get that dump, right? I'm not catching the dump. I'm catching the bounce, right? I'm catching
yes.
where everybody panic is, and when I say fuck, fuck, and everybody gets liquidated, and that's when I say fuck, let's go a spot.
Mm.
We start buying a spot, and those are the long term holds that are they going to happen? Who knows? But that's what I'm waiting for. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what I'm waiting for.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Mauricio, would you say that it's kind of a opinion, but would you say that this battle in crypto right now, because retail isn't really been allowed back in the water yet, other than the diehards, would you say that this is a battle between big institution, governments, whatever, and whales? And would you say also, if that were the case, that the big institutions are kind of trying to starve out the whales to get, the money out of them because they got too big and get a lower price on everything, and then
Okay,
Interesting.
okay, okay. Hold on. All right. I'm gonna ask you a question. What do you mean about retail not being allowed to come in?
I just don't see the volume yet. Like everybody's
All right.
afraid. The fear index down to 5. There's
Correct.
all this stuff going on.
Okay.
I equate it to the movie Caddyshack, where the caddies aren't allowed in the pool yet, but when they do, when they come
Okay.
back in, it's then you're gonna
So
see
so
it.
so there's one thing in terms of allowability, not you not being able to actually get in, because that's actually creates more anxiety to come in than liquidity being available. So I don't know if you guys were around when we had the October 11 wipeout.
Ugh.
Okay.
Not supposed to
All
talk
right.
Yeah, let's move on.
about that.
But that's you I told you at that time, that's why I decided to actually get out of everything. That wasn't an event. That was a cataclysmic event in crypto.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, retail, that were waiting, that had money, they were wiped out. A lot of them. Okay, so a lot of the liquidity was taken out. Bang. You know what I mean? Like, so even if people wanted to come into the market, they can't. They don't have no money. You know what I mean? They were wiped out, right? A lot of market makers were wiped out as well. That I know a few market makers, and they were wiped out. They were fucking gone. Like, all their companies gone. All right. And those guys were the ones that actually moved the market. Those ones that actually buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. You know what I mean? So in my opinion, it's going to take a while to recover from that. We need liquidity in order for the market to go high, to go hot. So I think that's why retail is not coming in. And right now is basically the game of institutions to see when. I think the next wave will. That's why I'm tracking IBIT very closely, because if we start seeing IBIT recovering, that means people are or institutions are willing to start buying the ETFs, and the ETFs will attract liquidity into the market, new liquidity, and then things start rolling over, and hopefully things is going to start climbing back up again,
There
like
you go.
does.
There you go. You said the magic word that the institutions want to hear, and that's buy ETFs.
Yeah. And obviously right now there is a lot of attraction in terms of institution going into the tokenized route. So that's why CC is important. That's why I went into CC, by the way. I haven't given you my thesis on why we went into the CC.
Yeah.
So CC is part of that game right now in terms of the tokenization, that everything is going to get tokenized, right? Everything is going to get tokenized. So you have platforms like CC, Ondo. Those are the first ones that actually come into my mind. So I think they could be transitioning into those important areas. So I'm tracking those narratives very closely. You know what I mean? And institutions are starting to flip the switch into those things. And I think but the market is not there. So it's a lot of wealth, especially the people that actually drove that crash. They drive in the fucking market. Who are they? I have no idea. You can actually see them shorting their hair. You can actually see it longing their hair with different wallets and stuff like that. Very difficult to track. But
it's Barron Trump and all his friends.
I don't know, man. I don't know, man.
Well, the Trump name's been mentioned, so that's the. Right, okay.
I'm gonna get a Nokia and the FBI coming through, man. I'm just like, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got on the microphone again, Todd. And
yes, sir. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. And if anybody else wants to join, hop on next week, because anything could happen between now and then. Myself, I'm going to be mostly hands off the wheel this week. Market neutral stuff is the kind, like the YF10 season 1 is the kind of stuff that you want to do. Rob Milne has posted in the 100x Coin Club about his adventures in YF10. So I'm sure if anybody, just publicly comment on his post, if you know what I mean, and I'm sure he'll give you as much information as you can. Because don't forget, Scott told you how to trade that YF10 in the original webinar, so you can get stuck into it and have a go at it yourself, or join the group and whatever you want to do. But obviously we got YFM that's starting now, so make sure you've seen Scott's emails for that, because that's gonna be just tremendous. Scott is leading that, and he's got Adrian, who's the tech guy, one of these AI eggheads. And we've got James and Artem, the other side, that are doing all the quanting. So there's a hell of a team that we've put together here. Now, this Polymarket, this is another thing that you can do yourself without us, Now, the drawbacks that you have are things like the Polymarket data feed, I think is 30 grand a year just to get your hands on that feed. Then obviously you need quants that can filter that feed and find edges. Now, how do you find edges? Well, you create hypothesis and then you go out and you harvest them. Creating an edge is a slow process, but the quants do it all with the with the math. And the thing I'm loving about this YFM is that it's not crypto, and we are early to the market, right? And it's like
Mm.
there's nothing else in life really more important than being first. Like,
And you know what? On that end, that could be what it used to be crypto 2011
yeah,
when crypto started. So this
yeah.
type of and now that you have a little bit more understanding how markets move, inefficiencies around markets, things like that, I think it could be an interesting edge to explore. Yeah.
Really interesting edge, yeah. And no
Mhm.
edge lasts forever, you know. Like there's a few edges that go on for a long time. Trend following. Why is trend following not being arbitraged away? Because it's a bastard. It's a bastard. You just sit there looking at it thinking, I hate you. But it works, you know. So it's like one of the things that's really helped me, I realize I'm waffling on a little bit now, is there's something James Hodges has said many, many, many times, and that is we get paid for doing things that other people don't want to do. And I think that that's a really good way to think about edges. Like with the YF10, we give you 10 coins, tell you to pick five, hold it between sort of 1 and 3 hours. That can create quite a lot of complexity, you know, because we're asking you to make a decision. So we're asking you to do something that's a little bit uncomfortable. And if you're willing to do that thing that the other person's not willing to do, so like me this week, I'm willing to sacrifice whatever people make on a short this week, you know, because I'm waiting for that retest of that 200-week EMA. I'm willing to pay that premium so that when I put my short on, I'm feeling like, yeah, the fucking probability of this trade coming off is very, very high. I paid a 10% whatever premium last week to ensure I've got this nice smooth ride. It's never a smooth ride. Anyway, I haven't had enough THC yet, so have a great one, everybody.
All
This
right,
is
guys,
me
have
when
a
I
good
haven't
one.
had THC. Imagine what I'm like when I have. All right,
Oh
thanks
Thanks,
for
man.
man.
that.